Hello, and welcome to Uniquely Gifted. I was thinking today that when we put ourselves out into the world, especially when we make these kind of videos, we're bound to make some enemies. And Jesus said, I say unto you, love your enemies. And it can be hard. Like sometimes we think it's justified, and it's not. It doesn't matter how it happened. We are to look on them with a loving heart, even though what they say or do can be hurtful. A lot of times I think people just say hurtful things because, for one thing, they're usually a teenager or a kid who's just acting really immature and doesn't really know what they're doing. And then there's others that think that, they're behind a screen, so they don't really have to act courteous or anything like that. They can just say whatever they want. A lot of people just they think they have that screen guard, and when you're in face to face, they don't have that guard anymore, so of course they're not going to really be like that too much. But some people just, they make themselves feel better by saying bad things about you.
So I really think that sometimes the church fails people because, like, when they are inviting people to church, they're all come to church and they sit with them, and hopefully, and then after they really start coming to the church, they kind of like just let them go. It's like, you adopted somebody and then you just let them go, like on the street, and just abandon them. And you can't do that. That's like the worst thing you can, well, I don't know if it's the worst, but it's a really bad thing to do because you have now released your student without the knowledge and the experience to continue what they have learned. Like, you have to keep with them, and that's, to me, kind of complacent Christianity. It's like, well, I did my job, I invited somebody to church and they came, job's done, check it off. And then you have people who like accept Christ into their life, and like I said, I don't blame them because they don't know any better. They don't really like start studying the Bible. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but there's a lot of people who don't study the Bible. They don't continue their education, and you really need to do that. Page Colossians 3:13. Be tolerant with each other, and if someone has a complaint against anyone, forgive each other as the Lord forgave you, so also forgive each other. That was Colossians 3:13. Then we have this one from Luke 8:6. Other seed fell on a rock as it grew and dried up because it had no moisture. Then we have, you received a spirit that shows you are adopted as God's children. With this spirit we cry, Abba, Father. Romans 8:15. Give with our hearts. There are people who claim to be Christian, but they haven't really fully committed. By yourself, you can't do amazing things. But with God, we can do more amazing things than we ever thought possible. And then they like totally judging other people, like, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, you're going to hell, you're doing this wrong. I mean, you cannot do that, really, for real. Please stop doing that. It says unceasingly. This means that you do not stop. The Bible doesn't say to do it for X amount of time or until you can't take it anymore. This is my first video of the April series, Verse of the Day. Today's verse comes from John 16:33. These things I have spoken to you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye have tribulations, but be of good courage. I have overcome the world. Do not worry, because this world right now is a little bit messed up, but that is part of God's plan. And we need to be patient, and we need to understand that God is in control and He will prevail. Because right now, everything that's happening was probably part of His bigger plan. So let's read in the NIV. Rest in Jehovah and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him that prospereth in his way, because of the man that bringeth mischievous devices to pass. So there it is again in the that was the Darby. I'm sorry. I was going to read the NIV. Okay, so be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their way, when they carry out their wicked schemes. So
wicked schemes, that kind of clarifies what they mean about devices. Like, when you leave yourself to your own devices, it's kind of like when you leave yourself to your own behavior.
I'm Elizabeth Childs. Today, we are going to talk about Romans 12:1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the compassions of God, to present yourselves a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your intelligent service. We are going to talk about 1 Peter 2:15-16. Because so is the will of God, that by well-doing ye put to silence the ignorance of senseless men, as free, and not having liberty as cloak of malice, but as God's bondmen. This whole chapter really talks about respect that we should have for those in authority and those who are teaching in the church or maybe school. We should have respect for everybody, no matter if they are men or women. And it really talks about how our behaviors and attitudes should be.
James 3:16, this is the Darby. For where emulation and strife are, there is disorder and every living thing. So it kind of makes sense because like right now, we have a lot of issues with the country being divided. So I mean, that tells me, like a lot of people are emulating people that they think are leaders and they're really not, and it's just bringing destruction. So I think that's what it is talking about. I think, I have a thing that I say that we need to emulate Christ. So I don't really see emulation as being a bad thing.